Hello everyone, I'm Luke Dorjanella and you're watching Science of Victory. In the last episode, we tried to find the basic but solid setup for the team battle mode. We found that it's 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 1s. But which tank should you pick? That's what we will discuss over the next few episodes. Today, however, we will only talk about light tanks, and I will start with the tier 1s. Many ask, what's the point of tier 1s? And I want to answer that question. They are the perfect tool to allow you to find where your enemies are with little risk. Imagine only having combat tanks. If you lose one while scouting, you're now down to 4 big guns. Lose a tier 1? It's a shame, but now you can use that information with all 5 of your combat tanks. However, many teams disregard the 2 tier 1s and play as a team of 5, and that's okay. The slickest of them may even manage to win. Though when they meet with a company of equally skilled players, but with all 7, their luck runs out. But let's not rush ahead. Instead, we should find out which tier 1 light tanks is the best for team battles. Actually, the answer is quite simple. It is enough to look at the basic stats of the tanks. The T1 Cunningham has no real competition. It has the best speed of the tier, only the German tank has a better view range. At first glance you may think that the cannon isn't the best and you should pick a different tank. But one gun for the T1 has a cassette that holds an amazing quick-firing 15 rounds. This means it is the only tier 1 that can destroy an opponent in mere moments. Also, if you don't mind spending a bit more for premium shells, then you can even damage some tier 8s. For example, all of the French tanks have little armour and burn very nicely. Besides all of this, the small size of the T1 also lets it occupy positions that most tankers aren't aware of. This may seem like an insignificant detail, but believe me, victory consists of such details, so I recommend remembering this. Now we found the best tier 1 vehicle for team battles, let's look at several examples on how to use it. First of all, it makes a very good passive scout. You can send your main force to one flank and leave a T1 on the other, or near your base. This way you can stay aware of any attack from the rear or counter an otherwise unexpected base capture. I mean, you can control a whole flank with one tiny tank. Also, thanks to its recon data, your allies can shoot at the enemy from afar whilst remaining unseen. But if things do not go as planned and you don't have time to get your combat tanks back to base, then you can sacrifice the scout to reset. The main thing in this situation is to stay calm. Don't reduce the cap in the beginning. Wait for as long as you can and shoot the softest capper. This will buy some seconds for your team. Remember, you'll likely not get another chance. Secondly, you can use the tier 1 as bait. I will show you a battle to explain. We have spotted the enemy combat tanks and know where they are. It is obvious that these guys won't rush forwards as they seem to be interested in standing still for 10 minutes, but we're not. How do we crush such a defense? They are in good positions and are waiting for us, and we're not exactly pro players. We don't have such skill and coordination, but we do know some tricks. Let the small tanks go forward first. Yes, they won't do any damage in this situation, but they might make one of their tier 8s take a shot, maybe even more than one. Meanwhile, our combat tanks will roll out and have the advantage of 1 or more shots. It is crucial to focus your fire against one target at a time to reduce the enemy's damage potential. Good focus brings victory. You must agree that it would have been much harder to win if we didn't have our bait tanks. Thirdly, if you like to play offensively, then the 2 tier 1 tanks are an essential and clever weapon. Get your main strike force close to the enemy and then stand off whilst trying to avoid damage. Meanwhile, the 2 tier 1s travel to the enemy base. Begin the capture. Now the enemy has to go back and stop it with at least 1 tank. As soon as the enemy forces are separated, we rush forward. And it is done. Regarding equipment for the T1, I advise you not to reinvent the wheel at first. Everything is already thought out by others. Take the ventilation, the caminet and the telescope. Plus, it is very important for the tank's commander to have the 6th sense skill. Why? Well, here's an example. We are scouting a flank with a T1. The rest of the team is positioned on the other side. The enemy is there too, and suddenly I see a lamp on my tank. I report it to the commander immediately. Even though I don't see anyone, it is obvious that there is at least one enemy tank on my flank, and since our opponents have no tier 1s, they must have split at least one of their tier 8s from the other flank. Our team rushes in. With one tank up, it's not hard to win. The fact the outcome of this battle was decided by two things: us having a tier 1 tank and its commander having the 6th sense skill. Of course, not many have a leveled crew for the T1. I personally used my crew from another tank and retrained. So in summary, it is better than playing as a team of 5. You will see it for yourself when you get more victories. By the way, I recommend picking Camouflage, then Brothers in Arms besides 6th sense. Then you can pick the view range perks to make your scout even more dangerous. But that's for you to decide later. That is all I have to say about tier 1 tanks. Now it's time to talk about the tier 8 light tanks. There's not many to choose from, as we only have the WZ-132 and the AMX-1390. The Chinese tank is slightly better than the French in terms of mobility, but has less HP and doesn't have an autoloader. Thus, the 132 has almost no chance when dueling a 1390, so long as the French tank player kills it with one drum. The choice is then obvious: the 1390 is much better. Many people say that there is no point in taking the French light tank into a 742 team, and it is better to take 5 heavies instead. Well, there's some sense to this, and this is why we recommended it in last episode, as currently you need to pick vehicles without knowing which map you will fight on. However, most of the maps are open or mixed terrain type. The 1390's mobility, view range, burst damage and escape potential will give you an advantage from the start on these types. You can also scout enemy movements on city maps, plus it can engage from the rear and cause lots of damage. It is crucial to preserve this fragile balance when playing the French tank, to actively scout without taking too much damage at the same time. Honestly, not many can do it well, so it's the commander's duty to pick the most experienced and skilled players for this tank. Do as you will, but in my opinion the 1390 is a great choice. What about the other light tanks? Well, there are some other good tanks like the T-71 or the Chaffee. Much can be said about them, but I won't, as these vehicles shouldn't really be chosen for team battles. You will lose one of your tier 8s and face the consequences. A skilled opponent will take advantage of this. Right, let's sum things up. Pick and actively use the tier 1 tanks. Keep your calm when passively spotting, like don't shoot until the moment you absolutely need to. Constantly monitor the mini-map for if the enemy forces are divided, attack. Use AMX 1390s in your setups, as this tank plays a key role in the hands of a skilled commander. I guess that's all I wanted to share today. Next time we will discuss the heavy tanks. Remember to subscribe to our brand new Team Battle channel for more. See you soon.